5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast, episode 36. Hey guys, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the companies and the partnerships that make this podcast possible. First and foremost, as always, is Yellow Jacket. Guys, summer is right around the corner. You're going to go into these check and cleans, doing PMs, your AC calls. Wouldn't you want to do that with a nice new shiny refrigerant manifold? Well, if you're going to do that, guys, go out and check out Yellow Jacket's new stuff. You guys have heard about them. You got the Series 41 gauge manifolds. It looks just like analog, but it's got the digital readouts. But then you start going to the big boys. You got the P51 860 and the P51 870. The 870 is the one that I have posted pictures of. It's the Big Daddy with the 4.3-inch colored screen, all the refrigerants, the clamps. Comes with a book bag. Guys, the thing is badass. I cannot wait to rock in the summer with this. So if I was you, go over to www.yellowjacket.com or look for Ritchie Engineering and check them out. And guys, remember, 70 years of expertise built into every tool.
Guys, do you want to see as much as a 30% increase in revenue growth just in the first year, just from your dispatching and scheduling software? That's the results that House Call Pro is getting for people. It's time to streamline and automate your business with House Call Pro. Remember, the scheduling, estimates, dispatching, invoicing, follow-up marketing, all done for you and your business. So stop losing time and money. Schedule your free demo today. Go to www.housecallpro.com/HVAC-uncensored. Schedule your demo today, and just for checking out the program, you're going to get a $50 fuel card to use however you like. So check it out, guys. housecallpro.com/HVAC-uncensored.
And last but not least, guys, is Webbit. We're in the day and age you have to have an internet presence, guys, no matter how big or small you are. For you small guys out there, you got enough fucking headaches. Guys, check out Webbit. Okay? They will design your website for you. It is $49 a month. It's done. We're AC guys. We're not fucking web designers. Let them handle it for you. $49 a month. Check it off the to-do list. That also includes the SEO, the search engine optimization. Guys, they take care of it. We have any issues, we give them a call. They take care of it. We want to change something, they change it. It's as easy as pie. Trust me that you'll love it. If you guys are interested, email us at www.hvacuncensored@gmail.com, and we will forward you our rep Tyler's information, and he will get you taken care of.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the USA, and thank you to all of our global listeners. Hey, it's me again. Hey guys, real fast before we get into the show, and we have a great one for you tonight, man. You guys are really going to love it. Guys, smash that subscribe button. Go into any of your favorite podcast apps. We're on all the major apps. Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. Guys, go in there, subscribe to the podcast, and it'll be there waiting for you every week. You won't even have to worry about it. We're handing it to you. All right? Go check us out on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Content is coming up there to follow, I promise. Also, go over to Kelley's YouTube channel, which is HVAC Millionaire, and smash that subscribe button. And we would really appreciate it. But enough of me blabbering, guys. On to the show.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt. crank up the volume and try not to be offended, because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelley McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelley.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast, episode 36, man. Got a great show for you tonight, as usual. I am Gil Cavey, the one and only, and sitting across from me is, across the internet, is Mr. Kelley fucking McKay. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Doing good. Excited about tonight. We got a great guest. I'm excited about the weather change. I know that. So we probably won't talk too long about that and not keep our guest waiting, but spring is here. Woohoo!
Yeah, man, it's been great. We're not busy, but I have been on fire when it comes to sales. We might touch on that a little bit later on the podcast. But yeah, I definitely don't want to keep our guests waiting, guys. We have a great podcast for you tonight, talking about some things to do with business and the struggles of a small business owner. So without further ado, guys, I'd like to introduce Mr. Paul Stoner. What's up, Paul?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, man.
I'm just
so
to give you guys a little bit of background on myself so people know a little bit about me. I've been in the industry now for about 9 years. I started out as install helper, pretty much knew nothing, and worked my way up to service technician. And from there, I went to owning my own company.
Nice. How long have you had your company?
I've been in charge of this company now for about 2.5 years. So, yeah. Started in 2016, November 2016.
Are you a sole owner, or do you have a partnership with somebody? Or
we had a partnership when we first started the company. It dissolved since, and now I'm an 80% owner, so pretty much sole owner.
Cool.
Nice. Where are you located? I know you told me. Where are you located?
We're in
again?
Southeast Michigan, so we're located just north of Ohio, actually.
Oh,
gotcha.
Nice. So what kind of weather are you guys dealing with right now? It's still cold there?
No, we got 50-degree weather now, so it's been slowing down a little bit. We lost our cold snap, so we're starting to do air conditioning estimates and a little bit of maintenance and things like that, but we're kind of in our slow season.
Sure.
Yeah, you're same as us.
Yeah, you guys are a little colder where you guys are at. It's starting to warm up. Today was 70 degrees out here, so that was warm enough to at least get started on some spring maintenance checks, and we did a phone blast a couple weeks ago, or I guess just last week, and so that's all we've been doing. But anyhow, so I got a question for you here, Paul. So is being a business owner, is it everything it's cracked up to be, or is it what you thought it would be?
It's definitely a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. I was kind of used to just going in, getting my orders for the day, my marching orders, and kind of going out, doing my job, getting done, and going home. When you become an owner, that's kind of not really possible anymore. You become a revenue generator rather than, a revenue collector or somebody that just takes a paycheck and goes home. You have to worry about things after hours. I mean, you're literally looking at the bills and the finances every single day, pretty much every minute of every day you're thinking about it, and trying to provide for other people. It's not just about providing for yourself. You have to generate enough gross to be able to pay your employees, pay your insurance, pay your permit fees, whatever. So it's definitely a lot different.
Yeah, I agree. To kind of spin off of that question, why don't you let the listeners know, how did you exactly start? Like, what process did you go through to actually become a business owner?
I was working for a company going about 55 hours a week as a service tech. We worked Friday through Saturday. So we would be pretty much, or not Friday. We worked 6 days a week. So we'd be working Saturdays. And, they basically didn't pay their technicians very well. It was low pay tech. I was paid $14 an hour, and I was running service calls, so it was pretty shitty. So I was looking for other options, and my dad's been in the industry for about 30 years, so he knows a lot of people in the industry, and he had a customer of his that was looking to sell his company, so we arranged a contract basically to buy the company for a little bit of money down and the rest paid out over 5 years. And that's the way a lot of these deals are structured. When you go in to buy another company, they don't necessarily want all the money right away. You can sometimes work a deal out with them where you pay them over a series of time. And when I took over, the expectation is that I was going to run service and install department. I didn't have to do any of the books or deal with any of that because my partner, was supposed to be taking care of that. Now, that all kind of went downhill the first 3 months. Just managing employees alone, he almost lost the employees that we had. Bills weren't getting paid. Things were backing up on us. So it really was an eye-opener to start. You kind of think, oh, I'm just going to go in here and do what I normally do as a service tech and collect all the money myself, and it's going to be good. But there's actually a lot more aspects to it that people don't see. So those are some of the things that you might want to think about if you're thinking about starting a business, is that you're going to have extra expense. It's what we call overhead. You figure 30% for overhead, sometimes more, and that just covers basic stuff like gas, phone bills, any of the little expenses that we have that kind of nickel and dime us to death every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when my company, for you to understand all this at such a young stage or young phase of the business, I think is great. So I know you're going to see some tremendous success over the next 5-6 years where, man, I'd never even heard of overhead, had no idea what it was. And I'm like 5 years into my business, and it's like just it's like a rat race. It's like I just could not get over the hump.
Yep.
The more work I did, the more money I owed.
Exactly.
You think you're getting ahead, but every job you go to, you're losing money on if your pricing's not right, because I didn't know what overhead was.
You're not costing every minute of your time. Basically, you're not costing it to the point where if you take all of those expenses and you add them all together for the month, and then you break them down into hourly or even just weekly, you can figure out what it costs you to run a business. My nut is about $30,000 a month. I have to get $30,000 to break even.
Right.
And if I don't get that, then I'm digging into credit and digging into other places to make up for it.
Exactly. I want to touch real quick before you. Sorry, Gil. I'm not trying to not let you talk here.
Motherfucking son of a
shut up. But I just read a great book by John Warrillow, and it is called Built to Sell. And that book, it's a really short book, and it just tells a story about a young business owner that is basically fed up with his company, and he's like, I want out. I'm ready to sell. This is not worth it. And so he goes through the process and the steps to actually make his company worth something so it can be sold. And I think that's a great book for any young business owner, period, to read, because we often have, just like we have this illusion of what ownership might be for us. We think, oh, I'm going to have more time off. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to tell people what to do, whatever it is for you. Then we get into business, we find that's not, it's the E-myth, the entrepreneurial myth. It's really not like that, especially not in the beginning.
Yeah,
but
I haven't read that book, but that sounds like a good one. And as long as we're suggesting some, this is one that really helped me. And I think everybody should read if they're thinking about being a business owner. Or our one is, it's called Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits by Greg Crabtree. It's 4 keys to unlock your business potential. And there's a lot of good stuff in there that breaks down the cost of business. And it's not just a dollar cost either. We're talking the cost that it has on your free time, the cost that it has on your family, the cost that it's going to have on your mental state. I mean, it's a lot different when you become the employer rather than the employee, because what you're doing then is you're becoming the revenue generator. You have to go out and make the business happen. If it doesn't happen, it falls on your shoulders. If you're going into work somewhere, it's not your responsibility or job to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he talks about in the what's the name of that book
Numbers,
again?
Straight Talk, Big Profits. It's by Greg Crabtree.
Greg Crabtree. So John Warrillow talks about how, well, for one, there has to be a lot of structure happen within a business before it's worth anything. But oftentimes when people go to sell, it's exactly what you said. It's like a payout deal. You give them a chunk of money, and then the rest is paid out over time. And oftentimes the business owner is asked to stay on for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And this is like a normal deal. This happens all the time. So I thought that was interesting that you said that, because I just read that in that book. But
well, I'll read you one of the things from it that is kind of interesting. This is what they call sweat equity. It's something that you're going to have to put into the company. You shouldn't pay yourself a market-based salary when your business can't afford it. There's a different way to pay yourself what you are worth without taking cash out of the business. It's called sweat equity. Sweat equity is the value you have created for your business through your unpaid work. If your business should be paying you $100,000 per year for the job you perform in your business, and it takes you 2 years before you can draw your salary, you have just created $200,000 in capital through sweat equity. This is a very important concept, whether you have outside investors or not, because it lets you calculate your lost opportunity to earn market-based wages. Had you chosen to work elsewhere, if you have outside investors, it gives you a way to balance the worth of your effort with the money they invested. Either way, it's a great opportunity to understand the difference between I'm still putting in sweat equity and I'm not going to stop until I get my full salary. And I've made an acceptable profit above my salary by calculating my real sweat equity. So basically what he's saying is that if you're taking all the money out of the business initially, you're not building that sweat equity. Sweat equity is money that you reinvest into your company in a way. You build it inside of the company, and that way you have a bigger amount to take at the end, for one, and for two, you're actually reinvesting into the company to grow it. See, I didn't pay myself. I mean, I pay myself better than when I was a service tech, but I didn't pay myself as much as I could have the first year. I went and bought stuff, right? So I went and I bought a new van. I had the vans detailed. I bought new tools for the guys because they had old worn out tools. The next year I ended up buying another van. I bought a building. Like those things that I used that money to buy, to invest in. And what I noticed as I kept buying more stuff and advertising and doing these things is that we started to grow. You know, we went up 30% the first year. We went up 30% the second year. And we're on track for the same this year. So it's really a growth cycle that is very helpful to the business. In the first 5 years, it's crucial. You have to put that money back in. If you get too greedy, you're going to end up going under because you're not going to be able to make payroll, or you're not going to be able to pay your suppliers, and they're going to cut you off or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And obviously everybody knows my story. I mean, I was only an owner for a brief time. One thing I can say is, you know, I'm a manager. I mean, I do the day-to-day operations and run. I mean, I know all the behind the scenes stuff. And I will say that when I first became in that kind of role and I really started to see the behind the scenes stuff and how much my owner was really making and things like that, which he does good, but it's not as much as you think from when you're a normal tech and you're like, oh man, the owner's making all the money and stuff like that. Your boss is probably not making as much money as you think he is, especially for a smaller to mid-sized company.
He's definitely making more than you, but he's not making
saying
like
he's hurting.
a killing at it. You know, if you're not paying yourself more than what you pay your employees, there's real no point to being in business. You know, that is the reason that we do it, is to make money. So it's just a matter of them thinking that we're actually getting rich when we're not, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And like those times when it's slow and you're not working, you're like, man, this is bullshit. I'm not getting any work. Well, guess what? If you're not working, your boss isn't making any money. Okay. He doesn't make money when the trucks are parked in front of your house. So it's a lose-lose situation. He wants you to work just as much as you want to work. So, but yeah, I saw all that stuff. And like I said, I went off on my own for a little bit and I teamed up. So guys, so you know, it doesn't always work when you go off. And just because you're a good tech does not mean you're going to be a good business owner. That's what we've hinted on here in a little bit. But I teamed up with two guys who already owned an established plumbing company, and it failed. And it wasn't really the business side or anything like that. It was just the people that I chose to be in business with. I mean, like Paul said, he went into business with his brother and it failed. I mean, I went in with two friends. Well, one was a friend, one not so much, and that was the other guy's brother. And it was just a horrible situation. Thank God I was able to come back to where I am. And this is a great, this would be like giving up the golden goose. I mean, I have a really, really good gig and set me up for the future. But I saw the failure side, and part of me, it sucked to go out because I made that big leap and I wanted to be successful with it, and to fail, it kind of sucked. But guys know it's not easy, and not saying guys shouldn't try, you know, I mean, it's good to have goals and dreams and to want to own your own company, but just because you know how to change a capacitor and put in a furnace doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to go start a business. That is not the case.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought, oh man, I'm a good tech. I can fix just about anything, and I could install too. So that's all I needed to know, right? To own a business. So
Yeah. See, I had a slightly different angle and perspective on it. I was a fairly new technician. I'd only been a technician for 2 years. I was installed before that. So I was just getting to the stage where I was really getting a grasp of basic mechanical concepts and just air conditioning, furnace, gas forced air. I do mostly residential, so it's pretty easy stuff. But my angle when I was working for this company was I was watching the way that he ran his business, the ins and outs, not just my day-to-day job, but everybody's day-to-day job. And I basically stole his business model because it was a good one, and I put it to work for myself. And it didn't take that much effort because I didn't have to come up with it by myself. I just had to implement what I'd already seen work. So that's something to be aware of also. Some people are not suited to be owners just because they don't want to do customer relations. I mean, communication, customer relations, this is the number one job you have as an owner. You're going to be the face of the company. You're going to be the guy that everyone comes to when they have a problem, whether it be an employee, a customer, a distributor. You're the last line of defense, basically, which is one of the worst parts of being an owner, in my opinion, because I don't like dealing with some people, especially pissed off customers, but you have to do it. And what I found is that if you can please people and to a reasonable extent, but if you can make people happy, they will go and they will tell other people. And that's the best advertisement that you can have. I mean, it really is, especially the difficult ones. If you can make somebody who's just a pain in the ass customer happy with your service, they're going to go and tell people because they're going to bitch about you if you don't, but they will go and tell people. And when somebody like that tells somebody else, they're like, oh, well, he hates everybody and he recommended this guy, so it's little things like that. It's really what I found is relationships, networking. It makes it all. You build a good relationship with some people and they connect you into other people and other people connect you from there.
Yeah, so. I don't mean to cut you off, Kelley. I can't agree more with that. Like I've said before, is the reason that I rose to be a manager and stuff like that at a young age was, I was a good tech. I think I'm a very good tech. But it was my personality and my customer relation skills and sales. The fact that I was always good with customers, and my boss would always, if there was a shitty customer, it was like, send Gil. I'm like, oh, well, what the hell, man? Just because
I was that guy too.
Yeah, just because I would always smooth it over, and then I got good at I was good at the table with customers as far as closing deals. And I'm always honest, and I'm never gonna bullshit people, but I was just good at it. So that's how I rose to do that, and that part of it, as far as just knowing like my work ethic, is why I wanted to, do my own thing. Plus I wanted to, I know I'm going to work in this field regardless. I guess it's just where. So my feeling was when I tried to partner up with those guys is, maybe I'll go do it for myself. That way, maybe I have something to like pass on to my children or something like that. Not a 401k, but it didn't work out that way. But at least this way, company has 30 years, $3.5 million, in sales, last year. It's moving in the right direction. I would be an idiot if I left here,
Yeah, no, when you're on a company that number one treats you right, because that was the first model that I changed with the business model that I took, is that they use their employees as not assets, but liabilities, basically, or not. And liability isn't the right word. They paid them less to pay so they could keep more money. Basically, they were stingy with where they used their money and how they treated their employees because they wanted to keep their costs low. Granted, they were a big company. They were a $28 million company, had over 100 employees, so they had to control that payroll cost. But it ended up biting them in the ass because their service wasn't very good. So when I got to the new company I was at, I doubled the salary of the guys that worked there. They were making, like, one guy was making $10 an hour, and the other guy was making like $12 an hour or something. And they were new. The one guy had very little experience, and the other guy was a lead installer, though. He knew how to install a furnace, and he was getting $12 an hour.
Jeez.
Jesus. I paid a guy to sweep our shop more than $12 an hour.
100%, man, 100%.
This company I took over was kind of a shit show. It wasn't a great company. It was in the back, road somewhere with a little dinky sign. The guy was running it out of his house. His customers were all cheap asses and low lifes and stuff, and people that wanted deals and trade for stuff and things like that. And I nipped all that in the bud. I told all those people, you pay cash or you're not my customer anymore. I fired a bunch of people that were customers, and I built my employees up. Those relationships you can't sacrifice, because basically your employees, they're your lifeblood. Like, they are your biggest asset. And the only way to become truly rich at this is to have enough of those people, what we call multiple revenue streams. Each employee basically is a revenue stream for you.
Yeah.
And when you have enough people working for you, under you, then that's the only way to collect enough income to become a millionaire, say. Because in order to do that by yourself, you're going to have to work 5 times as hard. Whereas if you just have 5 people working normally,
Yeah,
they're
but
making the money for
it's
you,
impossible because there's only so many hours in the day. You can only
Exactly,
produce
right.
one person can only produce so much.
So but when you multiply that and spread it out, then it becomes easier and easier to make more and more money. But still, again, going back to the struggles of it, when you start making that money, you need to be very conscious on where you're borrowing, where you're spending, what type of expenses you have out there. Because if you're not, one, quoting your prices correctly, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. You're going to end up being in debt, and then that debt is going to turn into interest. And once that interest starts building on you, after a year or two, you might sustain it, but it's eventually going to win. You're not going to get ahead of that cycle. So you got to be real careful early on to build a healthy financial environment to where you're not shooting yourself in the foot in little increments over and over again.
Yeah,
good advice.
I agree with that.
Good advice.
Yeah. Hey, well, since you guys were both owners and started your company, so it's more answers for you guys. I'm going to play the host and ask some questions. I'll let you guys both, take turns. So first question is, what are, I guess, keep it to a list, maybe like your top 5 things, maybe what is 5 things like, okay, if a guy is listening right now and he's like, man, I want to start I'm thinking about starting my own company. I'm going to do it. What are the top 5 things, or what does this guy need to do before he makes that jump?
Well, I would say one of them would be have a license. You really want to be the honest person that is not just going around hacking in stuff. So you need to know what you're doing. Up here, we can't install a furnace without a mechanical license and a permit. So that's bar number 1. You have to go past that one. Second one is you're going to need insurance, right? You don't want to be running around without insurance. Just bad practice. You want workman's comp and you want full liability. A third one is going to be you're going to need startup capital. You're not just going to start a company with $0 in your pocket, so you better save some money. Just to start this company alone was $30,000, and it was already an existing company. That's just the first month of startup capital just to get payroll started, stock the trucks, increase the employee wages so they wouldn't quit. There's things like that, initial things like that you have to be prepared for, or you're going to be in trouble because you're going to try and borrow that money, or you're going to do something stupid and take out a high interest loan, and it's going to eat you alive in 3 years because eventually it'll build and build and build on you until you can't pay it back.
Yeah, no, that's good info. Kelley, what how about you, man?
So for me, I would say you got to have, like, if your credit's not in check and you don't have good credit, like, get that in check. And that can take, guys don't realize it can take like up to 2.5 years to straighten your credit up if it's in the gutter. So I would make sure that I have my credit in check if I had to do it over again. Number 2, I would make sure and ensure that I have agreement from my family that that everybody understands that I'm going to be working way more hours, a lot harder. That I may not be there for every single thing. I'm probably not going to make it to dinner most nights. I would get a bookkeeper, 100%. Your books need to be straight from the get-go, because I got myself into a lot of trouble without having my books straight. And it caught up to me about by the 3rd or 4th year. So if your books aren't straight, you're better off just starting, in the right lane and stay in that lane from day one. You're going to need to buy stuff. I mean, I'm hearing Paul say, by the first you got to stock the trucks. We were talking earlier before we got started, and you've purchased a van and you've purchased a building. Well, that takes a relationship with a bank. So a relationship with an accountant or bookkeeper, or both, a relationship with a banker. And I just think that's really important. Maybe a lawyer as well.
Yep, those are all vital things. Basically, if you don't have your finances in check and if you don't have good credit, the supply house won't even extend you a line of credit, which is going to put you on COD pricing. And they're going to, want the money up front, and you're going to have to collect the money up front from the customer and give it to them before you can even get the equipment. Really, ideally, you want to be able to stock equipment so that you don't have to wait for it to be delivered and you can just go put it in. And you can't do that unless you can have credit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I still got one more. That was my fourth one. So my last one is just, you got to have some, I do agree with Paul. You got to have a little bit of money to get started. I got started with very little. I started with nothing. I had to get a cosigner for my first van. And I had $10,000 loan that my dad gave me. And that's what I started with. And then, so you got to have a little bit of money, yes. But you got to have some mental toughness, because I'm going to tell you right now, being an entrepreneur, because that's what you are when you start your own business. You're an entrepreneur, and it is a roller coaster of emotions. You can be on cloud 9 1 minute, and then a customer calls in wanting their money back because their unit's not working the next. And so you got to be able to control your emotions to a certain degree, especially with your people. We love our people. We love our coworkers that come to work with us every day. And if you can't keep your emotions in check, and we're all guilty at some point or another of not being able to, or not thinking before we speak. And I've done it several times, but you got to have some emotional, like EQ, emotional intelligence, to be able to keep on an even keel. If the ship's sinking, you can't let everybody see it. Like, you can't portray that within the company. I am all about openness. Like, if we're not doing so great, I let everybody know, because I want them to have some ownership in this too, because we're all fighting for the same thing. At the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same thing. But you got to be tough.
I think there's something to be said for letting employees in on the way the business is going. You don't want to tell them exactly what you're making, but you want them to know that their efforts are directly related to the profitability of the company. And I actually have some more here that are out of this book that are a little more neat and tidied up. If we're going to do these 5 points, I think I have some better ones here. So the first one is going to be discover where your cash goes. By using a simple format similar to the example at the beginning of this chapter, that's going to help you. But just know where your money's going. Know where you're spending money. Track it. Figure out how much you're spending in a month. That's really important. Number 2 would be set aside your taxes in a separate account on a quarterly basis, regardless of when it has to be paid to the tax agencies. Now, I use QuickBooks, so they do all this for me. Every time I run payroll, they take my tax money out. It automatically gets sucked out of my bank account, non-issue. But if you're not doing that, and you get to the end of the year and you haven't calculated your tax burden right, or your tax liability right, you're going to be in deep shit. You're going to be in real deep shit. Calculate how much cash you need to get your full line of credit to zero. So your line of credit should be at zero. If you operate a company with zero debt, you are much more profitable, because what happens when you take on debt is you get interest, and that interest basically compounds over time. So you're not going to make as much money. I mean, if you owe $18,000 and you keep paying on it, but you keep buying shit at the same time, and they're charging you at 12% interest or 18% interest, which some of them do, you're going to be ending up paying like $500-$600 a month just to have that debt out there.
Back to having good credit. You're going to get a far better interest rates when you go purchase. We bought 3 vehicles last year and we financed them, and so, but I get a great interest rate because my credit's great.
Let's see, here's another one that's a good one. Borrow term debt only when you have a clear strategy about how you are going to generate the profits to repay the debt. So that basically means don't just take money without a plan to pay it back. You got to have something that you're using that money for that's going to generate more money, like advertising. And that's something we should get into too, I think, because I spent a lot of money the first year on advertising, and there was a lot of things I did wrong, and I found the places where money was wasted and the things that actually worked. And it turned out the things that worked, a lot of them were free. Didn't even have to pay for them. So that's a good topic. Once you get your business out of debt, do the same for yourself.
Yeah.
Pay off all your shit. If you own a house, whatever, just start paying down your personal debt. That makes you basically more enticing to a bank. Say you ever did have to go and like buy a building, which is a huge asset, something that you are going to want to own if you own a company. You're going to have collateral. You're going to have something to put up for that. So if you have a house that's paid off, you can put that up as collateral or whatever. It gets you that loan that you need to buy something that's really going to be crucial for your company.
Yeah, I agree with that. And sitting back listening to you guys, and my thought process was definitely the same as yours. I mean, I thought that, granted, I was going into guys that already had something started, but it was my credit was good enough, and I thought about, I wanted to have as much cash as possible just because I didn't want to start off in debt. I knew that I was going to need credit for like supply houses and stuff like that, but I was hoping to have enough cash to be able to start that if, we started to make money, I wasn't going to have to be having to keep borrowing it. Granted, I had a successful plumbing side that was already going. So we already had a customer base that we just had to say, hey, now we do HVAC. But I definitely think that you guys brought up really, really good points, guys. So if you're listening, you got to have your credit in check. You need to be a licensed mechanic, be insured. You got to have a game plan of what you're doing, and not just be pissed off at your owner one day and be like, man, I'm going to start my own company. I can do this better, because that is a recipe for failure. If you hear these two gentlemen talk, Paul and Kelley, when they become owner, you are wearing a whole bunch of different hats. So now you are the technician, you're the service guy, you're the installer, you're the accountant, you're the owner, you're the scheduler,
Yep.
the salesman. You're everything now. So it's a lot. So it really, really is. I want to go into the topic that you were just talking about, Paul, but real fast for both of you again, I would like, I know you haven't been in business terribly long, but we all make mistakes. So far, starting out, if there was one thing that you could change, one of your biggest mistakes or hurdles that you've had to overcome, that you think that you could have, if you would have changed something, it could have went different, what would it be?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that one for
You want me to go first? So for me, I followed a model too. When I left the company that I worked for, I followed a model. The only problem was that model was failing, and I didn't know. I had no idea. So what they were charging, I started charging the same thing. And honestly, it was pricing. If my pricing would have been right from the get-go, things would have been a lot easier. Not saying that I wouldn't have made a lot of mistakes, because I got into IRS trouble and everything. Like, I've been through the gamut. And but if I would have had my pricing, everything would have been a lot easier, and we would have grown a lot quicker.
I think the most difficult hurdle for me was I took over an existing company, so I had to deal with an existing customer base and the work that was left behind, right? So basically, I'd done a bunch of warranty work and things that are dumped in your lap that are not good. Like, I went into a lot of jobs that were hacked to hell. The last guy had done some butchering of some places. One of them was a nursing home that it was like $160,000 job this guy had done in this place, and he had fucked it all up. The dampers were all screwed up. The furnaces were all going off on high limit because the returns were like bypassing right into the supply. It was just blowing hot air right back into the furnace, basically. And it was less than a year old. I mean, it literally had been put in less than a year ago, and these people are looking at me like, what are you going to do to fix this? I'm stuck here holding this other guy's hat. And I said, well, I'm going to charge you a shitload of money, and we're going to do this right. And I did. And they went for it. But really, the thing that I found was the biggest hurdle was finding my customers, not just a customer, because I don't want every customer. I turn people away sometimes because I don't like them as customers. Either they're non-paying, or they don't, they have shitty equipment that, is just way beyond repair, and they won't listen to anything like that, or they're just flat out rude or mean or anything like that. I don't stand for that. So I had to narrow down to the market that I wanted, which is the retrofit replacement market. I really wanted to get into just swapping out a unit a day. That's where you're going to make all your money. So all the commercial accounts, I told them to stick it. All the refrigeration accounts, I told them to stick it. All the cheapskates that wanted to trade me rims on their fucking car and God knows what else for a repair, I told them to stick it. Yeah. I had people trying to trade me shit, and I was like, the old owner did it. He used to do it. And so, I really had to straighten out the company that way, where we're getting money for our services every time, and we're turning it over quickly. Because if you're waiting 90 days to get paid in a small company, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're going to end up paying interest on shit, and you're not going to make any money. And we had a few accounts that were set up that way. They were nursing homes, and every single one I worked for, I had a hell of a time getting paid. One of them still hasn't paid me. It's been 2.5 years. I've got a freaking lien on their property. So that was the big thing for me, was finding the good customers and finding and getting rid of the shitty customers. You know, you will really damage yourself just by trying to please people that you shouldn't even be talking to.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. One thing that I think that my owner has always done good is we have always been COD. We have some commercial accounts that obviously, you know, that we bill them, or some of our residential customers that have been with my owner for like 20 years, he'll bill them or his friends. But other than that, when a call comes in, one of the questions they ask is, you know, how will you be paying for this today? Is it going to be cash, credit, check? We collect it that day. You know, they pay the diagnostic, and before we're flat rate, so they know they're paying the $99 or $69, whatever it is, to come out. And then we'll give them a list of repairs, so they know that we're collecting that day, so that we're not chasing money down just because I've seen that haunt them. So that way we don't have to deal with that. So
yeah, it's a big one. And it's one that I learned early on. I got screwed by people. I got screwed by a bunch of people. Because if you don't leave without that check in your hand, what are you going to do to get that $85 or that $100 service call after you've left the place? You know, you're going to send them another bill. You're just going to keep invoicing them. You're going to put a lien on their house for $85. It costs $150 to put a damn lien on. So
you turn it over to a collection company and maybe get half, you know?
Yeah, maybe. And you probably pay them a fee or something. Yeah. So it just doesn't really make any sense to bill that way. I think that was something that was real important early on, was to collect the money. And basically same thing with furnace installs and things like that. You know, you have to be able to turn those over quickly. The way that we make money in a residential retrofit business is by quick turnover. We don't wait for the money. It has to be able to come in daily, basically.
Yep. I did the same thing. I had a bunch of low life customers, man. But oftentimes they did pay, but they weren't good. They weren't my avatar. They weren't my customers. And as I continued to raise my prices through the years, they just went away. Like they can't take it. You know, they're like, what? You know, this used to cost, $75. Now you're charging me $200. And they naturally go away. So once again, back to pricing, man. Price it right. And the cheap people who don't want to pay and who take the majority of your time because they're always calling to ask you questions or, arguing the bill, they slowly go away.
Yep, I found that too. That's one of the things that I targeted, was to get rid of those type of customers. Mm-hmm. But we still I live in a fairly low income area, so it's not, I still have some of those customers. We still service some trailer parks and things like that, but they're expected to pay when we're done working. Mm-hmm. And, it's not a negotiation really. When I get done with the repair, I go and give them a bill and they pay. That's just how it is. If they don't, I don't ever come back. I just don't go to work for them again.
No. And that's good to build that into the culture too. I've had guys, last summer, some lady tried to jump in her car and take off. My tech stood behind the car and was like, whoa, and made her pay, because people, they'll try to sneak out on you. And so, I
always get the guy, can I mail you a check?
Nope.
How hard is it to write me one right fucking now? I mean, I see your checkbook over there. You probably have a debit card in your pocket. You didn't have to write me a check. Give me that damn card.
Yep.
I remember having a guy one time. He was like, I'm going to have to, I wrote my last check yesterday. I'm going to have to run down to the bank. And I was like, well, hop in. I'll take you.
Yeah, I've done that too.
I told him I'd take him. Yeah, he looked at me like his eyes got all big, and he was like, okay. He paid. He got the money, but I think I called his bluff, and he was like, shit, now I gotta have to. And this guy was like a little weasel too. I'd have drug his ass all up and down the street if he'd tried to dick me. But yeah, that's a good thing, man. You definitely got to get paid, and people that do that, chasing down for money. Another thing I'll ask, and I guess it's good because, of how long you've been in business, Paul, versus, like my owner versus Kelley. When it comes to installs, how are you doing? Well, you don't got to explain how, but are you doing financing? I guess I find out we're not a Baltimore, I guess, is a lower income, I wouldn't say it's a low income. We kind of have a little bit of everything, but I do notice that normally we do a lot of like third down, third deposit, balance due the day the equipment's installed, but we have a lot of financing. people just don't have the money to buy these $10,000 or whatever it is systems. So we do like the 0% financing, like 0% for 36 months, 0% for 60 months, where we buy that for our customers. And that is like a big thing. Do you guys find that being the same way?
So for the financing, I do offer it, and I'm still getting better at streamlining it into my process. We don't do a lot of it right now because I only offer one loan, and that's a traditional installment loan. So it's a low monthly payment loan that ranges between 8.99% and 13.99%, depending on credit. Now, in order to offer the other loans, there's a copay, there's a buy-in. So it's going to be 3%. Some of them are as much as 10% to buy into the loan of whatever your total pricing is. So you have to make sure that you include that pricing in your initial bid. Now, if you go back after giving a bid and you say, now you want to finance it, it's going to be 10% more. You can't do that. That's illegal. It's called usury. So you have to build that financing price into your bid to begin with. And then if they pay cash, we offer a 10% cash discount. You can offer it that way. And typically what I run into the most, I offer financing to people, and the people that really need it are the poorest people, and they don't qualify. Their credit's not good enough, and they get shit canned and denied. And then the people that have the credit to get it, they usually have the money. I mean, I've had a bunch of people I go to say, if you're interested in financing, I pull out the brochure. I don't need that. I got the money. So I get shut down a lot on financing, but I'm working on getting better at putting it into a sales process where I can create a good, better, best scenario and tell them it's going to be, $3,800 or $111 a month. So give them the monthly price or the total price, and then just let them pick one.
Yeah, that's what we do. I'll let you go, Kelley, but yeah, that's what we do. We figure, because we have to, we pay a percentage on the total for, the 0% for 36 months, 0% for 60, 0% for 12. So obviously the longer we do it, and we have another one that's interest rates horrible for people that can barely get approved, but we don't really use that much. But yeah, we figured into our price, and then we give cash discounts. But I feel like a lot of people have been using, especially 0%, because it's 0%. Even if people have the money, they're like, well, shit, 0%, I'll do that. And sometimes I find that even though that person had the money, now they're buying that best system. Now I'm selling that inverter system, or that better 2-stage or whatever system, because now they're going to finance it rather than put their money out. That's just what I've seen work for.
That's exactly where I'm moving to. That's what I need to get to, is that point. I've tried the good, better, best scenario, but it doesn't work so good on paper. So working to get integrated into, a flat rate mobile app, basically.
Oh, nice. Well, I have a paper that we use that I'll take a picture and send it to you. I mean, I've done, it's worked good for me, but it is still paper. Kelley knows we're slowly automating all of our stuff now, but that paper works good for me. But
with our financing, it's what did you say it cost you to do the 0% for like 36 months, Gil? What's it cost the company?
Ours, I think we're at like 8% for 36 months, and we're at like 12% for 60 months.
Yeah. So that's what I found, is that when you do the 0%, it costs way more. So I don't offer those very often. We normally stick with one that's like 5.9%, and it's about a 5-year note, just with even payments. So we do have the other options, and once in a while there'll be a special that our dealer is doing. Like Carrier probably has specials, spring promotions, fall promotions, to where you can offer that 0%, and it'll take some of the percentage off of, usually about cuts it in half, and then as far as what you pay, and then you make up the rest after you register the equipment, as long as you sell qualifying equipment. So we do a little bit of that, but I could tell you over the past 6 months, we've had a lot of people that were denied on their credit application.
Seems like they're
some of them were able to
strict with their credit, reporting what they require to get those loans, because I've had that problem too. And people come back to me and they say, well, I got a 700 credit score and they denied me. I'm like, well, guess you needed a 720. I don't know.
Right.
See, that's funny. I wonder who you guys are doing. Ours, obviously, I mean, because we're factory authorized Carrier dealers, it's through Carrier and Wells Fargo. And then it's linked directly to our website. So people can go to our website. They do it. It literally takes them 5 minutes to do it, and they get an instant answer. And normally more people get approved than get denied. I do have some situations where, say they're buying a system for, I don't know, I'm just making up numbers, $10,000, and they only get approved for $8,000, and they're like, man, well, I don't really want to put out the other money. A lot of times we can call on their behalf and get it bumped up. As long as they get approved for something, as long as they don't get approved for like $500 and they're trying to buy something for 10 grand, but as long as the number is close, I can normally get it bumped up and everything's okay. It's the people that they flat out say no are the ones that I can't do. But I haven't really had that many. And to be honest, I hate that. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but normally the people get denied, I knew they were going to get denied just because of, and I hate to say this, but normally I'm in Baltimore City. I'm in a house where it looks like the fucking walls are going to fall down. Like if the wind blows, I think that window is going to come out.
You can kind of tell how much money they have by the way their house looks, and what their credit's going to look like.
Yeah, but then again, sometimes I take that back because I tell our guys do not prejudge, because there's been other times I went in a house like that and the guys bought a system for 10 grand and paid me cash dollar bills. And I've been like, you're fucking get a hole in the wall, but you got 10 grand in your bedroom. Like what's going on here? So, and then I'll go out to some of these fancy neighborhoods like Montgomery County around here where the politicians live. Like all the houses are $2 million and they go to finance it and get denied. So I try to, you know what I mean, though. Sometimes you can tell, but sometimes you can't. But it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely need to work on this year is financing, because that's another revenue stream. Basically, there's certain people that aren't even they don't have that disposable income to be able to buy a furnace. Period. If their furnace broke tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to buy one without some sort of financing or someone giving them the money. So that's something that's definitely important. We use EGIA. It's Interbank USA. And the loan that we offer, I have zero copay on, so I don't pay in anything to offer the loan. That's why I offer it. But it's also kind of a hard loan to get, and it's a fairly high interest rate, so it turns away a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's why we do the 0%, because people just hear 0%, and the portion that we're paying, we're not making any money off of it, but it's figured into the price, so it's not costing me anything. And normally the price is low enough. Like I've been able, especially with the 0% for 60 months, I mean, I've been able to sell like some real pretty good systems, and the people are paying like maybe $200 a month. I mean, and for the system they're getting, I think that's pretty cheap. So it definitely, without the financing option, I know our business would take a big cut. Every once in a while you get them people that are like, here, I'll pay you cash, or let me just write you a check, which they're always great. But financing has definitely been a backbone. And the only bad thing is with our finance company, they will not touch rental properties. So if we have like a landlord tenant situation, we can't do financing. They have to buy it. Our finance company will also do repairs. Normally we pick and choose what we do that, because I don't want to offer, if a system needs $3,000 worth of repairs, it's probably not in that great a shape, and I probably should be saving that financing for the system, not the repairs. But we do have that option if we need it. But yeah, the rental property stuff, if they don't own the property, our finance company won't touch the loan.
Yeah, I think financing is definitely a good route for, especially for higher end systems, because like you're saying, people are more willing to put their signature on a modulating furnace than they are to actually shell out the 10 grand that it costs to buy it right away. So that's a real big thing for it, is that it gives you that upsell. It gives you that ability to be able to upsell.
And there's times where I can remember 1 month a while back. I mean, this might have been a couple of years ago, but we may have sold, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 systems for the whole month. And like 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 were all financed. So if we weren't offering that financing, we wouldn't have got the work. So it is a crucial element to the business. I wish I would have done that sooner, for sure.
Yeah, well, plus I find out, like, we'll do like IAQ packages, and we'll bundle like a media filter, like an Air Night or a Remy Halo, and like another UV light, and we'll just have it be like the IAQ package, and we'll say, hey, if you want to add this package, it's $68 a month, and people are like, I can do $68 a month, but if you put, hey, it's going to cost you $3,000, like, oh, I can't do $3,000. But to be honest, some of these big sales gurus, I won't say any names, a lot of that is what their ploy is, that they change the names to some of these items, like a capacitor is a starter. They change the names and they put all these things on their list. And then at the bottom, they put, oh, we can do, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's only going to be $140 a month. So that's how they're doing it. I mean, I don't want to try to, lie to customers or deceive them, but I do think that financing used in the right manner can be great for your business and also good for the customer. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But I'll get off that topic real fast. I mean, because we're almost at an hour. Even though this has been a great conversation, I know we could go on probably even longer. But I'll tell you, Paul, I know you said that about some advertising thing that you want to touch on. You got a few minutes we can talk about. If you want to go ahead and pinch on that, go ahead.
So basically, when you're starting out, the biggest thing that you want is customer acquisition. And to get customers, you have to buy them. There's a cost to each customer, right? So you have to figure out for your local market what that cost is. But there's ways that are effective to driving people towards your business, and then there's ways that are ineffective to driving people towards your business. Some of them that I had little success with, I like to call them obsolete, forms of advertisement, basically, was print. Print did not seem to work at all. I tried radio. I tried, what else did I try? I tried direct mail, and I did that myself. I made the letters myself, posted them, licked all the envelopes, and that one worked okay, but it was still, the expenditure was not worth the amount of time and effort and the money that we actually got back. Our ROI, or return on investment, was not great with that. Now, the things that worked and were free was Google. Number one, you want to get on the Google listing. When I first took over the company, we weren't even on Google. There was no listing. You couldn't find the name of the business, the phone number, nothing. So I built that up over the last 2.5 years to a 5-star rating. We have like 26 reviews or something like that. And you get that just by asking your customers, just doing a good job and saying, hey, you want to go on the Google, leave a review, and that puts you to the top of the search engines. And once you're at the top of the search engines, people will start to contact you more. You're going to be in their visibility whenever they search something for heating and cooling. The other thing I found that worked really well was Facebook and using boost posts. So you basically budget out like $300 for 10 days or something, and you boost a post offering a special or just putting your name out there, or whatever, just your phone number even. It doesn't really matter what you put on it. You're just generating new people seeing your name. And you want to do that pretty much every month. You want to be investing into Facebook and Google. Google does the same thing. Now, the thing I found with Google is that it doesn't target close enough to your market all the time. So you'll get people calling you from all over hell trying to employ your services. So that's not as effective. But with Facebook, you can actually target it down to a local area, somewhere that's close to you within a 15-mile radius or whatever. And it does target people in those areas. And you'll reach, some of my posts have reached upwards of 15,000 people for $300. Now that's good advertising, in my opinion. And the third thing that I haven't tried yet, and I'm going to try this year, is local cable TV. Once you can get your name and your face on the television, people think you've made it. I don't know what it is. Doesn't even matter what it's for. It could be daytime television, soap operas on it. They see your ad, it solidifies you. It makes you look professional. It makes you look like your company is something. They think that, well, he's got enough money to be on TV. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I found that worked as far as advertising goes. Like I said, print was really poor. I dumped a bunch of money into that, and not a dime came back out of it. Radio, the same thing.
I definitely think, and I'll let you go, Kelley, because I know you know a lot about this. I know that I've seen that not so much on print. Radio is all about your timing and where you're doing it. I've found if you're doing like 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning when people are driving to work, listening to the radio, you do pretty well. People are on their commute home, you're doing pretty well. but depending on the times you do, I agree. I don't know. I think it's based on your demographic and the area you live in. Social media marketing is huge. You got to be on Google. Social media, you have to do that. When you say you're boosting posts, are you like creating like a custom ad, or are you actually like creating a post?
I usually
and
create
then
a
boosting
custom
it?
ad. So I will go in and I'll type something up and create an ad, and then I will
Okay.
use it on the Facebook page and promote that. Basically, what I found is I've tried all different types of things. What I found is it doesn't even matter the content of the post so much. Even an offering, people don't seem to bite at it. Like I've offered discounts and all kinds of stuff, and I haven't gotten any response out of it. But I have gotten response just from my name being out there. They just call when they need something. You know, it's saturation of them seeing your name, basically. Yep.
Branding.
Branding is
They
really
just call it
important. Yeah.
branding.
And with radio, it didn't work for me because I don't have a big enough budget. It's saturation. And again, that's another way to brand yourself. You just burn your name into their head, basically. They hear the name of your company over and over and over again, and eventually they remember it, you know?
Yeah, well, normally around here, all the good slots the big boys have. All the big, multi-million-dollar companies, the ones that do the HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, grass cutting, fucking carpet cleaning. You know what I mean? All those big ones that do everything. Those guys normally have those spots, like the local news in the morning, and they've got like, oh, the morning traffic is brought to you by Go Fuck Yourself HVAC, like that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you, sports games, you can get on professional anything during the game. That is where the money is at. Last company I was at, the guy used to advertise for the Detroit Tigers. He was in the stadium. He had his advertisement in the stadium. It was on TV, and it was him standing there doing the commercial too, which was kind of funny. But he advertised so much with the Detroit Tigers during their games that he got flooded with more work than he could possibly do. I mean, they were booked for like a year. Like they would call up and they'd be like, well, we're about 6 months out or 8 months out. Something stupid.
Well, dude, it's so funny you say that. And I'm sorry, Kelley, I'm going to let you go. But I know a guy around here, and we started doing it between the Orioles, well, being in Baltimore, between the Ravens and the Orioles. He would make koozies with his name and put little things inside it for 15% off. And he would go down there during game days. I mean, Raven Stadium holds 70 something thousand. There's probably 50,000 in Camden. Exactly. He would hand these beer koozies out for free, and he would get a shitload of business from it. And he would be down there every week. And the supplier for the koozies, he's like, dude, I was paying 6 cents each. He's like, compared to what I was getting out of 70,000 people, everybody almost 75% of them are drinking beers or a soda or something, need a koozie. And it's worked great. And we're going to do it again next year because it really, really worked good. Go ahead, Kel. Sorry, buddy.
I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, we've tried just pretty much every single form of marketing. So other than even though we've been in business for 11 years, we never did. Well, I guess I can't even say that. We did phone book a long time ago, but never spent real money with the phone book. But man, I'm telling you, everybody, when you go into business, and I know Paul will vouch for what I'm saying here, you have like a freaking target on your back. Everybody and their brother is trying to sell you something. And it's real easy to get talked into doing something that you think, because they're going to, with marketing companies, a lot of times it's been my experience, they overpromise and underdeliver a lot.
Yeah, they will straight up take your money and you won't get anything.
Yes. So you got to be weary of that. And
that's another one I broached because I lost $4,000 the first year to Haibu. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's online lead generation.
I never did their lead generation, but I gave Haibu $55 a month for 6 years. That probably got me nothing, Mm-hmm. I did the same thing with Yodel. Have you ever heard of Yodel? They build your website and they guarantee you first page on Google searches and stuff, and they do that for you, but they lock you in, and I don't know. It wasn't a good deal.
They locked me into a contract, and there was no way to get out of it for 6 months. And the
Yep.
only dates they would generate would be out of state and miles away.
Oh,
And
my
it was like
goodness.
1 or 2 a month. I mean, it was nothing. So it was really paying for nothing. I mean, they took complete advantage. And
Yeah.
you've got to be careful with, like you said, people offering you things early on. They're going to make it sound like the bee's knees. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. It's only going to cost you, $600 a month, but you got to sign this contract. And then they'll leave. They'll never lift another finger after that, and you'll just be paying that money.
Well, they're using your vulnerability. I'm sorry, they're using your vulnerability as a new company and trying to get going against you. They know what they're doing.
I mean, we probably get 6 sales calls a day. And it's just never ending. It's day in, day out. So everybody's trying to sell you something. You just got to be careful with what you do, because it's really easy. I've been taken so many times, man.
See, I stopped letting them do it after a while. Like the first time after I dealt with Haibu, I locked all of that down. So I don't spend money anywhere I know that doesn't work. Now I just do Facebook and Google, and I'm biding my time until I can afford TV.
We just shot a commercial that's it's going to take them a little while to produce it, because it's totally different from your average HVAC commercial. It's like a Men in Black / Mission Impossible theme type commercial. So I'm super excited to see it. But when we air it, we don't saturate it. We normally, because I don't watch commercials. I know most of us don't anymore. You've got a DVR, you skip past that shit. But during sporting events, that's when we throw money at it. So we'll run that commercial when it's finished during any sporting event, because people are usually just watching it. I don't know. They're not normally recording it and watching it. They're usually watching it live. So, but
that's good. I want to make a commercial and be like Cheech and Chong, but I don't know if it's going to go over well.
You might get sued.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, especially now with the CBD and the cannabis, who knows? It might be great, especially in like California or so. But shit, man, we're gonna have to close this out, and I really hate it, Paul. We're definitely gonna have to have you back, man, because this was definitely a really, really good conversation. I thought it was gonna be good talking with you before, but we're definitely gonna have you on it and do this again and just talk about whatever, because an hour flew by, and if we go too long, these listeners just start taking naps and wrecking their vans and shit. So we can't have that. Yeah.
I would just say that, if anyone has questions about business or help, they can reach out to me, or that, obviously they can reach out to you guys. I'm willing to help people that are struggling or that are new into that realm, because for me it was quite frustrating to begin with. It's still not. I'm still anxious about it sometimes, but initially it was really a lot to take on. You're not thinking about all the variables until you actually are in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree that. So, Paul, we appreciate you coming on, man. We really do. Like I said, you're welcome here anytime. We're going to go ahead and close this thing out, man.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Great talking with you. And I'll look forward to having you back on the show again soon. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, most of you have heard if you're in the Facebook group, but some of you probably haven't who aren't. But our brother, Mr. Michael Lee, did pass away last week. So prayers and thoughts to his family and his wife. She let everybody know that he had passed on his Facebook profile last week. So I know Gil I'm sure Gil will say something about it, but sure sorry to hear that. He's definitely just the nicest guy. Always had nothing but nice things to say. Always made sure to comment on any video I ever posted and say something nice. And that just means so much to me. And that's why it is really, really hurt to see him go. So, but we know he's in a better place now and he's no longer suffering. So just sorry to see him go though, but thanks guys for listening. Be sure to share this with your friends, download it, and go make money.
Yeah, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Just a couple of notes. Mr. Lee, most of you guys have heard about Mr. Lee, and it sucks. I'm really gonna miss that guy. I became close with him over the years, and it definitely sucks that he is gone. I have created the GoFundMe to help Miss Charla Lee, his wife. Miss Charla, I'm not going to give all her personal business, but pretty much she quit her job, to help take care of Mr. Lee at the end. And I know that anything can help right now. So I've started the GoFundMe. I have it shared on YouTube, the link on YouTube and the link on Facebook. The sad part is by the time you guys hear this, it's going to be done. It's going to be ending Friday, which would be Friday the 29th, just because it's been a week. I can't let it go too long, and I'm only doing that because by request of some guys, so I can get those funds to her as quickly as possible. But I will say this, to all who have donated, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I cannot thank you guys enough. I can't even express into the words my appreciation for you guys for doing that. And I know Miss Charlotte is going to say the same thing. But on that note, guys, it was an awesome show tonight, man. Like I said, want to thank Paul. It was awesome to have him on here. We'll definitely have him back. I think this was a great episode to help guys, for you to realize that we're not telling people to not go start your own business. We're just telling you to stop and think about it and have all your ducks in a row before you do it, because it's not just guys go do side work and they think that's opening their own business, and it's not, guys. It's going to be a rude awakening that it's more to it when you go do it, and we just don't want you guys to set yourself up for failure. Obviously, we promote small business. I want guys to be successful. I just don't want to see you fail. I want to see you do things the right way. But with that being said, guys, we appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We love you as always. We will be nothing without you guys, and that's about it, guys. Be safe. Always remember to make it home the same way you left. Remember to do the little things and always set yourself apart. Real fast, we are going to give a round of applause to our guests. I meant to do this earlier. Yeah. I finally have a drum roll, guys. So now when we do YouTube, I can finally do that without going. But otherwise, we will see you guys next week. I'll stop yapping my mouth. I love you guys, and I'll talk with you fuckers later. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.